make sure you tap in next Wednesday, April 16th, 5 p.m. Central Time. I will be having a pre-draft live special with special guest Aaron Wilson. We'll be answering all your questions around the Houston Texans, around the 2025 NFL Draft. All you got to do, make sure you hit that sub button, turn on your notifications, and make sure you're there April 16th at 5 p.m. Central Time. Welcome into Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on the show today, my 5th installment of a Texans 7-round mock draft of the offseason. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Damn, in my pick again. Just kidding. I've done 4 mock drafts so far. This is my numero 5. Unlike Mel Kiper, I don't, just stop after, 2 weeks heading into the NFL draft. I mean, what are we even paying this guy to do anymore? Just eat pumpkin pie at this point. But I will continue to do mock drafts up until the start of the 2025 NFL draft. And I think you'll like this 5th rendition of a Texans 7-round mock draft. Before we get going, I've gotten a lot of comments of like, hey, love your show, watching from Germany, watching from Australia, watching from this country. I want you to go down in the comment section and let me know where you're watching from. Let me know your city. If you're watching from another country, let me know that country. If you're watching from Houston, let me know what part of Houston. I'm from Clear Lake, League City, Friendswood area, that South Houston area. Let me know where you're watching from in the comment section, because Texans fans, we spread far and wide. And I know there's a ton of people that watch this show from all around the world, and I love seeing that, bringing this community together, bringing everybody closer. So let me know, where are you watching from down in the comments section. So to start off this mock draft, we were there on pick 25. And I know it's unlikely, but Shedeur Sanders was on the board for your Houston Texans at pick 25. So I couldn't help myself, ladies and gentlemen, with the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL draft. In this mock draft, your Houston Texans, they actually don't make a selection because Shedeur Sanders is on the board. You thought I was going to say Shedeur. No way in hell are the Texans drafting Shedeur Sanders. But a lot of teams at the start of round 2 would want to draft Shedeur Sanders, and one of them being the Cleveland Browns. They took Travis Hunter with pick 2 in this mock draft, so they said, let's pair those teammates back up again. That would be electric for Cleveland if this happened. So the Browns are sending their 2nd and 3rd round pick to your Houston Texans for pick 25. You only move back 8 spots, and you gain one of the top picks in round 3. To me, I think this is a fair deal, a good trade for your Houston Texans, and I still was able to get one of the top guys on the Texans' big board. Now, obviously, this trade did have some ramifications. Donovan Jackson went right after this. Gray Zabel went right after this. But the best offensive lineman left on the board, a semi-round guy was still up there, and I'm not mad at it whatsoever. With the Texans' first selection in this mock draft, round 2, pick 33, they select Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama, and he has been a polarizing prospect, to say the least, during this draft process. People have been really high on him. People have been very low on him, especially Houston Texans fans, with how he performed at the NFL Combine. Now, listen, I know it's going to look bad, and for offensive linemen, the Underwear Olympics, the NFL Combine, we shouldn't look too much into these 40 times, this 3-cone drill for an offensive lineman, right? It should be more of, what do you put on tape? And I know people are scared because Kenyon Green didn't perform well at the Combine either, had a bad RAS score, and people are like, Tyler Booker's the next Kenyon Green. Texans fans are the only ones thinking that, because we had Kenyon Green. I asked everybody else in the office if they would be afraid to draft Tyler Booker at the end of round 1, and you would be surprised on how many people are really sold on Tyler Booker as a prospect. Actually, producer Moose, before we even started filming this, said, I really love the pick of Tyler Booker at pick 33. And as you look at the Texans offensive line, the current depth chart, they badly need some interior offensive linemen, some guard help. Really bad. Because, in my opinion, you have 4 tackles that are decent on this team already. You signed Cam Robinson, who should start at left tackle. You have Blake Fisher, who you drafted in round 2 of last year's draft. You have Titus Howard, who's played all along the offensive line, but mostly at the tackle spots. And you also have Trent Brown. So you have tackles on this depth chart. You have tackles on this team. You need some interior offensive linemen to really get this thing going for the Houston Texans in 2025. Now, let's go to our next pick in round 2. Pick 58, the Houston Texans select Elijah Arroyo, Miami tight end. And we know I've been one guy who's been like, I don't want to take a tight end early. I don't want to take a tight end early. But I kind of like Elijah Arroyo at this pick, especially with having 3 third-round picks now in this mock draft, taking one of the best tight end prospects in this class. You have a new OC in Nick Caserio who loves to use the tight ends. I could definitely see the Texans using a ton of 2 tight end sets, and also kind of using some of these guys. Maybe it's an Elijah Arroyo, maybe it's a Cade Stover or a Dalton Schultz as also a fullback type player. And I know the Texans signed Jakob Johnson. They have British Brooks from last year who both kind of give you that fullback role. But do you need to have a fullback? Maybe one of these tight ends can fill that role as a fullback. Elijah Arroyo, the pick in round 2, a big option, a safe catch guy for C.J. Stroud. And speaking of another receiving option for C.J. Stroud, that's exactly where I went with this next pick. Kyle Williams from Washington State. Now, this is the pick that we got from the Cleveland Browns, one of the first picks in round 3. So I was really surprised to see Kyle Williams still on the board. Well, maybe not, because PFF a little bit lower on him than a lot of other people, but one of the top guys still left on the board. I really like Kyle Williams to the Houston Texans. Was a top 30 visit. I think really translates well to what the Texans want to do. Can give you, a couple of different position flexibility there. A speedster can take the top off of a defense. Was actually one of the top options for Cam Ward whenever he was at Washington State as well. And I just think in this draft, the Texans need to help C.J. Stroud. And with the first 3 picks in this mock, that's exactly what I'm doing. The theme of this mock draft, the theme of this draft for the Houston Texans should be as follows. How do we help our superstar quarterback, C.J. Stroud, get back on track? Because he still showed flashes of excellence last year. He still showed you he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL, even with all the offensive line troubles, even with 3 of his wide receivers missing significant time last year. C.J. Stroud still balled out. And whenever you look at, especially in the playoffs, some of the games throughout the regular season, when the team didn't look that good, even if C.J. Stroud's stat line didn't look that great, he was still making plays left and right for this team. So this team needs to do whatever they can to get the most out of this rookie deal with C.J. Stroud and put the most around their young star quarterback. I'm going to ask you this question, though, because I'm still high on C.J. Stroud. I know most fans are still very high on C.J. Stroud, but this is going to be a tough one, and I need you to be honest with me. Do you believe Stroud can be a top 5 quarterback this year? Give me a yes. Give me a no. And it's a tough question, right? You have Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. That's just in the AFC, right? You have Jalen Hurts. You have Joe Burrow. You have a lot of guys in this league, a lot of quarterbacks that are really good. Do you think C.J. Stroud can be top 5? Let me know down in the comments section. Me personally, I do. I do think C.J. Stroud can be a top 5 quarterback in this league. He has all the intangibles. He has everything you want in a quarterback. He's very skilled, a great thrower of the football. He's accurate. He's a leader. He has a good head on his shoulders. And I think when you add all those things together and the fact that he has a great head coach in D'Amico Ryans that's going to help nurture and, help him throughout his young NFL journey, I really do believe C.J. Stroud can be a top 5 quarterback in this league this year. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, but I really do think C.J. Stroud is that good. Now, we've gone all offense so far. So now let's go to a defensive guy. Because we have so many third-round picks, we're going to be able to get some good prospects. And with the Texans' third-round pick 79, I went Alfred Collins, defensive tackle from the University of Texans. Somebody the Texans have met with this in this pre-draft process as well. 55 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble this past year for the Longhorns. Gives you great size on the interior. 6'5", almost 6'6", 330 pounds. And I really think adding him to this defensive line can help a ton. I think, obviously we added to the offensive line, but adding to the defensive line as well is just as important. This is a trenches draft for this Texans team. So not only adding to the O-line, but also adding to the defensive line. And Collins is somebody who can give you some flexibility. He can be a little bit of a nose tackle, but it can also play over the guard in that 3 technique. I think you're adding to your biggest strength in the Texans defensive line with a pick in Alfred Collins, and I think that could really help the Texans defense, be one of the best units in the entire National Football League for this next season. Now, coming up, I have the rest of my mock draft. I have another really good steal in round 3 for your Houston Texans. But before I tell you about that, I got to tell you about our sponsor, our friends over at Game Time. Get started today with the best ticketing app out there and the official ticketing partner of Chat Sports and Texans Today. Yes, that is Game Time, the best place to get last-second deals and those tickets right up to the start of the event, even if we're talking maybe some Rockets playoff games. They're playing great. The 2 seed in the West. I don't care if we play the Warriors. I don't care if we play the Grizzlies. I don't care who we play. I don't care if we play the Timberwolves. We will win this first series and be there, be a part of Clutch City by getting tickets with our friends over at Game Time. They have amazing features in the app, like you can see your seat view. They also have zone deals. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for an average savings of 18%. And they have Game Time picks, which basically filters out all the fluff and shows you the very best bang for your buck, the very best deals on the app. And this is what it'll look like whenever you click into the app looking for tickets. I love this bowl view as well, and you can kind of see right there. It shows you the super deal. That's part of the Game Time picks. I love looking at this because I'm like, oh, where am I sitting? You know, if you're on a traditional app or wherever, and you're like, oh, seat whatever in section 215. I don't know where 215 is, but on the Game Time app, it shows you exactly where it is in the stadium and exactly what your seat view is going to look like. That's why I absolutely love Game Time. So go download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. Now, in round 3, pick 89, Texans have 3 round 3 picks in this mock draft. I'm taking Ozzy Trapilo, Boston College offensive tackle. I absolutely love this pick for the Houston Texans. Somebody that has a ton of connections to this front office, to this team. He played under Bill O'Brien, former Texans coach, who is still buddy-buddy with Nick Caserio going back to their days in New England. He's also worked with former Patriots offensive line coach this offseason, Dante Scarnecchia, who current Texans O-line coach Cole Popovich and the current OC Nick Caserio both said was some of their biggest influences in their coaching career. And this guy's working hand in hand with him. I think a lot of signs point to the Texans getting a guy like Trapilo in round 3 and double dipping at that offensive line spot, right? We went with guard. We went with Tyler Booker in that first pick for the Texans, that pick 33. Now we're going tackle. And I think the plan with Trapilo should be as followed. We signed Cam Robinson to a 1-year deal. He's a 1-year stopgap type of player. He should be the starter this year, but there should also be a plan in place to replace him. He shouldn't be the left tackle option for years to come. He's somebody that the Texans have as of right now, as they groom somebody, as they get somebody ready to play left tackle. And maybe that's not Trapilo because he's mostly played on the right side. He's been a right tackle. Maybe it's Blake Fisher. Maybe that your second-round pick from Notre Dame this past year, he can be somebody who you eventually move over to the left side and can be your starting left tackle. Now, let's go to the next pick for your Houston Texans. Round 5, pick 166, R.J. Mickens from Clemson. 76 tackles, 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups this past year. Can't lie to you. I was going to go with a running back here. I was looking at running back here. All my guys were off the board, though. They literally went right before the Texans picked at 166. Jaden Blue from UT was off the board. Brashard Smith from SMU. Right into the heart, right? Like, those are the 2 guys I really wanted right here in round 5. Both of them already off the board. So I went with one of the best players on the board in R.J. Mickens. I still think the Texans need to add depth to the secondary. And R.J. Mickens is that Swiss Army knife that can play multiple positions in the secondary and help you out with a little bit of the depth concerns you have there. Now, let's go to our next pick. Round 7, pick 236. I went ahead and got a running back, and I thought maybe I didn't know that much about Raheim Rocket Sanders, as my buddy Trizzy Trace from Arkansas told me, because he actually went to Arkansas to start his collegiate career. Maybe, I don't know if he makes it to round 7 at pick 236. If so, I'd be totally in. After watching some of his highlights, after looking more into him as a prospect, Raheim Sanders is electric. And he's actually everything you want, right? Like, he's had a couple injury concerns. Maybe that's why he falls to round 7. He's known as Rocket because he absolutely bursts through the line. He gives you great, speed in the backfield, and he's a pass catcher as a running back. That kind of ticks off all the boxes the Texans are looking at for a backup running back behind Joe Mixon. Raheim Rocket Sanders, yeah, give him to me, round 7, pick 236. Lastly, let's look at McWilliams from UCF, round 7, pick 266 for your Houston Texans. Somebody the Texans have brought in for a visit. Kind of the same thing I was saying with RJ Mickens, one of the best guys left on the board, and gives you some more depth in that secondary to be a backup behind Stingley and Lasser. Also can help you out in special teams a little bit, and that's really all you need in a round 7 pick. You don't need somebody who's going to come in day 1 and immediately help you out. You need somebody who can be, possibly somebody who can push somebody or be a special teams guy or give you some decent depth. That's who McWilliams is. I wouldn't mind the pick at all in round 7 if he even makes it that far. Let's look at it, though. My Texans mock draft 5.0. I started off with a trade with the Cleveland Browns for a round 2 and a round 3 pick, giving up our first round selection. Then I went and got Tyler Booker, Elijah Arroyo, Kyle Williams, Alfred Collins, Ozzy Trapilo, RJ Mickens, Raheim Sanders, and McWilliams, totaling 5 offensive guys, 3 defensive guys, and 8 picks in total. So I want you to go down in the comment section and grade it for me. Grade my mock draft A, B, C, D, or F. How do you think I did? Did I do good? Or is this the worst mock draft you've ever seen in your life of all time? Let me know down in the comment section. And if you want to ask me more about the draft, more about the latest Texans news and rumors, my DMs are always open. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. Go give me a follow over there and on all my social media platforms. If you made it to the end of the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Never miss out on a moment of Texans football all year long here at Texans Today. We got you covered. All you got to do is go down and hit that subscribe button.